Hey gamers, today we're going to look at First Class. Let's check it out. Okay, to set the game, there's a lot going on here, but it's actually very simple. What you're going to do is the first player is going to get this first player token right here. They're going to get a player board with 2 of these 0 card tracks, one on each side there of the conductor. Conductor meeples will be there and there. Train meeple will be right there going along this track. They'll get a bunch of cubes somewhere they can put on the board. They'll start with 1 little coin there they can put there. They have these 6 train upgrades. It's the same cards that everyone has. Everyone has 4. They're denoted by that player's color. They'll go over here. You have your score tracker here. You have one of your meeples right here. You have some point systems here on getting to the engine there. And you have your engine trains, which is the number 10 train. These cards go up to 10, well 9, and this would be the 10th one you'd place when you get that far. You'll have your stack of 0s, and they flip over to level 1s. You have your 2s that flip over to level 4s, and then it goes from a 4 to a 7, which flips over to be a 12 there. You'll have those stacked up like that. You'll have 3 stacks of the 1, 2, and 3. You'll always have the X's on there. Those are the base decks. And then, depending on how many you want, you'll put in the A deck and the B deck, or B deck and C deck, or C deck and D deck, or D and E. And there's even expansions I'm going to go over here, F and G as well. But you're only going to take 2 of those other letters and shuffle them into each deck. And then you're going to deal out 18 cards each, but 3 rows of 6 right here. Now over here is the first player token. So if someone would take this, they could take first player and get some rewards here. I'll talk more about that later. And then you're going to have some in-game points over here. These in-game scorecards you can get. You can purchase them for 4 coins each. Though we have a house rule now that it only costs 2 coins. I'll explain why that is in my review when I talk at the end of the video. Anyway, so each player is you're going to take these according to how many players there are. So if there's 4 players, you'll take 4 of these cards plus 1. Starting with the last player, they'll pick one of these little in-game cards to choose, and then they'll pass to the next player. And then so the last player will have 2 to choose from. That last one just gets shuffled into the deck. And of course, then I guess you'll deal 4 out. Now, from here, you're going to have your bag of coins here, and depending on which deck you're playing with, you're going to have some tokens and whatnot. But how the game goes is taking turns, starting with the first player. They're going to take one of these cards and do the action. Now, this is just the base cards in the base deck, so let me show you what they do. First one, if you take this one, you'll just add, this is a track card, you'll just add it onto your track like so. Now, how do you get that train to move down that track? Well, there are these type cards here that have the picture of the train, and it's moving either 1, 2, and sometimes later on the decks, 3 spaces even. So if I was to take this one on my next turn, it'd go around to every player first. But if it was my next turn, I could take this one, and whatever card you take, you're going to keep with you and just put over here. And then I can move my train 1, 2 off these manuscripts. Now, when you end or pass by one of these compasses, you're going to get the rewards of the card, or at the bottom, what it says there, at the end of every round. And of course, if you pass to the victory points, you'll also get the victory points well. But the victory points, I think, are just one-time scoring. But these compasses, as long as you keep past them, you'll always get those rewards every round. These little conductor cards can have you move 1 space or 2 spaces, or sometimes 3 spaces each as the cards get big, as the decks go to 2 and 3. And all you do here is you would move either one or both of your conductors 1. Now obviously they can't move farther than what you have trains for. You'd have to have more trains there. The reason you want to move the conductors out, because at the end of every round, if any of these are points, that's the only way to score those points, is when you are there. So for instance, let's say I had another train track and I was there and I had upgraded it too. At the end of the round, I would only get 1 point because my conductor's here. He would have to be here to count 1, 2. Also, when you're upgrading these cards, I should mention that you can never upgrade the card that's furthest out. You have to upgrade the card base here. So if this is a 1, you want to upgrade this to a 2, you can't yet until you upgrade this card to a 2. Now if this card, let's say, was a 2 or maybe a 4, then you can upgrade this one to a 2 and upgrade it to a 4, and after that you'd have to upgrade the other one. Now, what do those upgrade cards look like? Well, they look just like this. This one allows me to upgrade a 0 to a 1 and then a 1 to a 2. Ooh, that's really nice. Later on, there's bigger upgrades as well. This card here would allow me to grab 2 more 0 tracks. And when you grab these 2, you can add them anywhere you want. You can add them just onto one train, or you can split the trains. Now, eventually, if you get up to 4 of them, or 5 of them, then you get to pick one of your 6 train cards. It says the number 6 on it. Now everyone has the same powers here, so it doesn't really matter, and you're only going to use 2 of these in the game, so you got to decide. Your guy has to be there to get the reward each round, but what it does is this one gives you 2 coins, this one lets you move your conductors further up the track, which is really good because you're trying to get to 10. It can give you big victory points. This one lets you move your little choo-choo train up, and this one lets you upgrade 0s to 1s. You're going to have a lot of 0s as you push forward, and so upgrading to 1s will be very important. So all 4 of these are really good to have, but for every game, you're only going to have 2. Now, once you place the 6 there, you'll have 7, 8, 9, and then once your conductor gets to 9, if he ever makes it to the 10 track, he'll take one of these. Now, if he's on this, if the conductor ends his turn and he's on here, obviously you can't move him any further past the engine, but that means every round, at the end of every round, he's going to get that many points. And these things go down as people start claiming them. They go down in points. Now, also, you get 1 upgrade, and this is a question mark. You can upgrade any of your cards. Remember, it has to start from here and then go down. None of these can be a bigger, none of the ones over to the right can be a bigger value to the one to the left of it. But anyway, that's really cool. Now, as the points go down, you get less points, but you will get 2 upgrades. So it kind of a little bit balances out. Also, the first person to make it to one of their engines will place one of their cubes right here and get 20 points. Second player gets 10, third player gets 5. Fourth player gets nothing. Anyway, that's one use for the cubes. Another use for the cubes is every time you go around the score track, you're going to lay a cube here, and that's why there's all these pictures of cubes there to show that you've made it around there once. To be honest, in the first round, you may not make it around the board. You'll be like, man, I'm not going to get any points. Second round, you're going to move at least once around. In the third round, you may be moving 2 or 3 times around. This game really just starts to build steam. Your engine starts to build steam, and you start making a lot of points there. Anyway, as you're going, everyone's picking cards from these rows. Now, at any time, there are cards picked on that row that equal the amount of players. So, for instance, in a 2-player game, if the second player were to take this card, well, 2 cards have been taken from this row. So this row would be eliminated and put in the discard pile. Now, if it was a 3-player game, you'd have to have only 3 cards left. A 4-player game, you'd only have to have 4 cards left, and then you would eliminate that row, and you could only use from these. So eventually, all these rows will be disappeared, and then after that, there's one more round, because you'll put these deck of cards out and throw out 3 rows of 6 each, and then any leftover cards, they'll always be leftover cards, will just go to the discard pile. So it puts a lot of variety in the game. So anyway, as you're playing this, you're trying to move up on your track here, move up on your track here, score victory points, score rewards, and of course upgrade trains to get a lot of money to move around the score track. Now, I should mention about coins here. Coins are very important here because coins can give you special abilities. There are certain cards that will give you coins in the game, and so as you get coins, you must stack them from left to right. So I can only stack here, and then once this is full, I can start stacking here. Now, anytime you can spend some of these coins and get the reward that's on that row. So for instance, if I finally make it up to here, every time I remove a coin from here, I get that reward. In this case, it's upgrade any of my cards. That's really nice. But if I only have coins here, whenever I remove a coin from here, then I get to move my conductor 1 space or my train 1 space. That's pretty good. And then the last one, if I only had coins in this last row here, every time I remove one, I can add one of these 0 track cards to my deck. Now, to be honest, after the first round, getting 0 cards are very hard to get, so you will be using coins in that area to help you out. Again, you can pay 4 coins, or house rule for us, 2 coins to get one of these in-game cards. At the end of the round, at the end of all 3 of these rounds, you go 2, 4, 6 rounds, then everyone's going to add up their in-game points, which means, hey, for every one of these train pushy cards I have, doesn't matter if it's a 1, 2, or 3, I'm going to get 2 victory points for each one. And these things can combine. So if you picked up this one later on, you're going to get 5 points for every train pushy card. That's nice, even though these aren't really that many points for in-game. But that's how the in-game points work. And they have them for upgrades and have them for conductor cards too. Now, if you choose not to have one of these cards in the row, another thing you can do is take this first player card. If you do that, you're going to be first player for the next round, and you'll get 2 coins. The new second player gets nothing, the new third player gets a 0 card, and the new fourth player either gets a 0 card or they can upgrade a 0 to a 1, which is kind of interesting. Now, when you take this card, or this cardboard token, you must remove a card from the row and then throw it in the discard pile, so it shows that you've picked a card. So anyway, that's another rule there. All right, so let me show you. These are all, that's just the base things you can do in the game. Let me tell you what each one of these things do, the A through D. All these A cards, if you were to shuffle them, you remember you're going to shuffle 2 letters into that deck of X's. So if it's the A cards, what the A cards have are these things called contracts. Well, this one's just 2 coins, but they're contracts. So for instance, if I were to have a 4, a 2, and a 1 on my train like that, I would get 2 0 cards I could add to my train and 4 victory points. Now, when you grab this card, you don't have to utilize it immediately. Like, oh man, I don't meet this qualification yet. I'm almost there. I got a 2, a 2, and a 1. Well, you can grab it, and then when you get to that, you can play the contract card and get the reward. Some of these are, you know, hey, if you have 8 1s on any of your trains, you get this reward, 3 upgrades and 6 points. So they're kind of self-explanatory. If you have 2 of your 6 trains out, you know, that's really good. Then you get 2 automatic upgrades. And so basically all they are is just contracts and A. And the B expansion, let me get all the B cards out. The B cards are really cool because they have these coin cards. They also have contracts as well, and they have passengers. Now these passengers can go either on the top here, you slide on the top here, or slide on the bottom, and they will double the value of that boxcar. Now these passengers may not move to different boxcars, but you usually want them in your last boxcar, so those are the ones that are going to get the highest value at the end of the game. So as you, let's say we upgraded this one to a 2. If we had this guy behind it, it'd be worth 4 victory points. Later on, you upgrade it, now it's worth 8 victory points. So you can see where these are pretty good. If it's on the bottom row, you just stack them on the bottom there. But those are the passengers. Now, at the same time, there are these postcard cards, and these go behind the little train track cards, and these will double the compass. So at the end of every round, and by the way, a round is when you've gone through all 18 cards. So there's 2 rounds for 1 deck, 2 deck, and 3 deck. And then you would trigger all of your compasses. So if the train was here, I would only get 2 coins added to my deck. If the train was out here, or just let's say right here, I would get 2 coins, plus this one says I get a 0 card and I can upgrade a 0 to a 1. But because I have the ×2 on it, I can do this action twice. So that's what the postcards do, which is pretty cool. So that's the B deck there. Now the C deck is really cool because it's basically Murder on the Orient Express. What it gives you is these cards that give you these special abilities, but this one, you have to take one of these suspicion tokens here. And this one says, hey, take this and then give a suspicion card to every other player, and so on and so forth. This one lets you get rid of cards that you've collected in your deck to get rid of some suspicion tokens. All right. Now, why would you want to get rid of suspicion tokens? Suspicion tokens are bad. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to randomly get one of these 4 characters. Now, 3 of them are just regular innocent characters. 1 is the actual killer. And so as you're getting these tokens can come with different things on them. Most of the time, they come with these little, as you see, thumbprints or fingerprints. This one has 2, this one has 1. You never know. You just take one. This one lets you get rid of a clue on you. This one gives you just 3 victory points. That's actually a good one. So you don't know. Mainly these are bad, but sometimes they can be good. And so you're taking these face down. You can only look at them. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most fingerprints, they are labeled the killer, and they are out of the game. They lose. They lose. So you don't want to have too many of these. And if you were the killer and you don't get caught, you get an additional 20 points. So there's an incentive to get these. But of course, these cards, like I said, can put suspicion on you, or, I love these, suspicion on other players. And these are the cards that really go fast because you want to put suspicion on all the other players. That's a really neat expansion, is C. On D, D is the passengers or luggage cards here, and what you're doing is you're taking these cards and you're either loading it from the top or loading it from the bottom, of any deck you want to, first train or top train. And what happens, sometimes they have special requirements, most of them do. It has to be at least a #1 train. I can't put this behind a 0 to get the reward. They won't load their luggage or themselves onto yucky 0 trains. They want at least a 1. Now when you do that, you get this reward immediately, or this reward immediately, and then you load it up. You'll just either slide it under here or bring it up to the top and slide it down here. Now if you do it here, every round, at the end of every round, you're going to get an extra coin which is really nice. If you slid it down here at the end of every round, you're going to get an additional 2 victory points. So either way, it's pretty nice. And I'll be honest, the special reward is always better on the luggage because most people want coins, but 2 victory points plus a really good, this one has 1 train pushy, this has 2 train pushies. Maybe this is what you want, and the 2 extra points are not bad. So anyway, that's what D offers. Now, E is the last expansion that comes in the base set, so I'll talk about this one. And this one has a few contracts, but mainly it has these little mechanisms in it. And these go between the train tracks, so like that, and you just load them up this way the more you got. Now, first off, you're going to get the reward for getting that card. That's a contract there, but sometimes it's 2 train movements or 2 coins or whatever. And then you have to complete this example. For instance, if both of these become 2s, then I can automatically upgrade both of the cards on the next part. If I do this one, if both of these are 1s, these both can move up, and most likely they'd be 1s. So it basically just helps you move along faster in getting upgrades. So they're not bad at getting, but that's the E expansion. Now the 2 special expansions that don't come in the deck are F and G. So I'm going to show you F first. F is basically a few things. You get these times markers here. Now this is really neat because when you load these, you get 1 upgrade on any one of these rows here. If you were to get a second one, then you would get, and let's put it down here, you would get 2 upgrades each, and then 1 upgrade here. If you got a third one, you would get 3 and then 2 upgrades and then 1 upgrade as it keeps going. Now, you can only have a maximum of 4 of these cards, and of course there's more in the 2 times F and the 3 times F here. But you can get more of these cards. All you have to do, once you get to 4, you'll just lay one of the cards on, lay one of these on top of the other one. When you do that, the whole row triggers again. So it's just a way to get some quicker upgrades as the game goes along. But another cool thing about this deck is this type of card. When you have this type of card, when you play with F deck, you're going to have this special F card. And this F card will go right here, and it will give you a free upgrade. Well, what it is you'll take this card and it says, hey, grab 3 cards from the deck. So you'll grab 3 cards from this deck, and then you'll also grab this upgrade card. And then it's up to you to choose. Let's say I chose 3 from this deck. It's up to me to choose 3 of these cards that I want. Maybe I want this one and I want the upgrade. Or maybe I want this one and this one, or this one and this one. You get to pick 2 out of the 3. Now, if you pick this one, you do the upgrade, and then you return it back over to the side so that someone else, if they pick up one of these, they'll get the same response there. But F is pretty cool. Now, G, on the other hand, is the Magician. The Magician usually has these cards. He has some other cards like this. This card just means, hey, you can grab a free in-game point bonus card. But mainly the Magician have stuff like this. He says, choose a card. Now, he's a real trickster. He can be good or bad. When you play with G, you're going to have these 2 cards to choose from, and then they're either going to be the bad Magician or the good Magician. And so what another player will do is they'll take these 2 cards, shuffle them, hide them in their hands, you pick one, and then they reveal. If they revealed the good Magician, this is really awesome. You're going to take 3 Magician cards, like so, and then you're going to decide which one do I want to do and which one do I want everyone to have, and then I'm going to discard the other one. So maybe I want to move 2 train pushies, so I take this one, and then I want everyone, including me, to get this reward. So everyone gets 1 train pushy, but I get 3. Ooh, that's nice. And then I choose to discard that one, and then you put them back in the deck and shuffle everything. That's the good one. Now, if you were to choose the bad Magician by accident, oh no. Well, the bad Magician will give you some type of ability, okay, which is not bad. After that, though, you flip it over and something bad will happen. First off, you're going to get negative 10 points at the end of the game, but then thirdly, and this goes for everyone, this is a penalty for everyone, they get to move 1 less on the train track. For instance, the next player to pick this can only move 1 space instead of 2. Or this one, if they pick this one, then they do nothing. But whenever they sacrifice one of their train movements, what they're going to do is each player is going to put their cube on this card. When all 4 or however many players have put their cubes on this card, the cubes are removed, the penalty is no more, but yet that player will lose 10 bonus points at the end of the game. So the bad Magician can be super bad. All right, anyway, some other mini expansions in the game. There's Legal Tenders. Legal Tenders gives you these 2 checkpoints of your color that you'll place on your player board, and it gives you a list of these little cardboard tokens. Once you fulfill any one, you can only get 2 of these, and they get harder as they go up in victory points, but when you fulfill any one, for this one, if I have 2 1s and 2 1s, or 3 2s in a row, I can place my little check mark on this one, claim the victory points, and then claim the reward, and then I flip it over. That means any other player who wants to claim this, they'll just get the victory points, but not the reward. Sometimes they'll get the reward and not the victory points. So it just matters. But that's Legal Tenders. Kind of a simple, you know, sweet little expansion. The other mini expansion, which I really love, is Tea Time. Tea Time allows you to have coffee, cake, or champagne, depending on which round it is. If it's round 1, you can buy these for 2 coins each. On round 1, you can buy these. Round 2, you can buy these. Round 3, you can buy these. When they're out, they're out. But anyway, what you do is you place one of these on your train track. Now, it must be at least a value of 1. Now, every turn, at the end of every round, you're going to get those bonus points. Now, one thing, you can't put more than 1 on a track. It has to go on different tracks here. And also, that passenger that doubles your card, it will not double these Tea Time tokens. But that's another reason we made these only 2 coins each. Since these are 2 coins, these are way more powerful than the in-game points, so we make those 2 coins as well. But anyway, I'll get that to my review. Of course, whoever has the most points wins the game. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, I've been looking at this game on and off for the past year and a half, I think. This is the same guy who did Russian Railroads, one of my favorite games of all time. And I'd always known about this game, and they said this is the card version of the game. Now, this game is way more available than Russian Railroads is. It's way cheaper, too. But when I heard it was the card version, I went, I'm not much for card games, so I'm going to put it away. But I decided to give it a second look, and I said, you know what, I really, after playing Russian Railroads for so long, I was like, I got to check out his other game, because I heard good things. This is a great game. It's a fantastic game. I like Russian Railroads better, but if you can't get Russian Railroads, get First Class. It is awesome. If you have Russian Railroads, get First Class. This is a fun game. I really do love this game. That you get to mix different expansion cards in there. They give you A, B, C, D, and E deck, and they give you some suggestions on which 2 decks go well together, but you can just mix up however you want. In fact, a part of me for the longest before I figured out how to get those big scoring points, I wanted to mix in all the decks, you know, and have extra rounds for each one, but you don't need to do that. There is always a way to win with each one of these decks. I really do love how smooth the gameplay is. It's easy to play. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, you can switch things up. I love just about all the scenarios in the base game. E is probably the weakest, but the other 4 are really good, and I'd play with those anytime, to be honest. As for the little expansions F and G, you can take them or leave them. I'm happy to have them. You can go on the, I think it's a German website, and they have the expansion packs there that you can get for base cost. You just have to pay the shipping to get over to the US. And to be honest, those are good too. As for the mini expansions, Legal Tenders is okay. We do use it a lot, but it's okay at small rewards. And Tea Time, ooh, you can really start banking on the rewards with Tea Time. It is fantastic. In fact, I had that promo before I even bought the game, because that promo also came with a Russian Railroad promo, which is why I got it. But then I'm glad I kept it and didn't throw away the First Class promo, because Tea Time is by far my favorite little mini game to add to it. Legal Tenders you can take and leave, but I'm happy for it too. We play with it all the time, and we utilize it just like we do Tea Time. There's a lot of ways to score big in this game. Building your own player board track, that's really big, but you also want to build your train, because getting to the end, getting to the engine, you're going to be racking up those points. Again, I love how in the first round you don't hardly move anywhere on the track. And then the second round, you start moving a little bit. You're like, yeah. And then the third round, you're making it around the board like 3 times. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling. It really ramps up. Very similar to Russian Railroads. So this is not the same game, a very different game, but a very ingenious game. I do hope they come out with more expansion packs. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Keep bringing them out. I think I would enjoy them. I didn't show the inside of the box, but it has a good sorting area where you can have plenty of extra cards or extra expansions to add to the game. I don't know if there's anything planned for it. Do they need to add more? No, but I'd be interested to see what they had. For my house rule, the in-game points are not that much, and it's not worth utilizing 4 coins, because you're only going to get just maybe 6 points. And I was like, well, that's only 2 points extra. I mean, yeah, you want to do it toward the end, but it really doesn't. Those in-game points, I think, should give you more bonus points than they do, and they cost way too much, especially if you have the Tea Time expansion, which only costs 2 coins. So what we've done, house ruled it, we say you spend 2 coins, you can get one of those in-game point cards. And we've noticed when we do it to 2 coins, you're more likely to get it, but no one's really abusing it. No one's spending all their coin to get in-game cards. It's just not worth that strategy. At least not yet. Unless someone utilizes it and abuses it, then we'll raise it back up to 4. But for right now, 2 is a sweet spot for us. Anyway, so that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, gamers, you know what to do. Train on.